Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, book proposal specialist, author, podcaster, all of the things. I'm author of Your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people. And unless it's on purpose, they don't know each other. And last week it was on purpose that they knew each other. This week, we talked about musicals. It was great. We did a pre-Tonys fun thing. And now we have to go to now I feel like I need to rewatch it after the Tonys last night. Anyway, this week we're talking about webinars. So back to business, although we did make good business cases for musicals, by the way. The whole point is we are here to basically hang out and let you watch. And today we're talking about webinars with dear Dr. Judith Briles, who is the book shepherd. We also have Brigette Callahan, who is like, I know her company is Babilon Arts, but she is like literally the visual presenting goddess. I mean, did I elevate you or am I close? Was
You're
it
close.
Diva or goddess? Okay, great. And
Either one.
of course, Julie Migliacci from Revent Consulting. Julie and I have known each other like from the virtual COVID days. And I'm on the board of Women's National Book Association San Francisco chapter, even though I live in LA. And our big event was Pitchorama, which we just did in April. And our deck kind of canceled about 4 weeks before. And I'm like,
I think it was 3 weeks. It was so close.
It was really close. But I'm like, Julie's name and face popped into my head, which is why we love social media. So Julie rescued us and made it the best event ever. So thank you for that. And basically, Julie inspired this. I'm like, we got to hang out more, not just when, our hack bails 3 weeks pre-event. Let's get you on GoalChat. So you might be watching GoalChat live. You might be watching the replay. You might be listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network. But no matter how you found us, we're so glad you're here because webinars, I mean, you need to step it up. I think you all agree that everybody's attention span is worse and worse and worse and worse. But the tools keep getting better and better. So I'm excited to figure out what we can do with webinars because they're not going away. So we might as well make the best of them. But before we jump in, I would love for my guests to introduce themselves better because right now, all you know is that they're awesome, which is accurate, except for the fact that as much as I love Restream, every now and then they kind of get me really... Okay, this is good enough. It's good. You can see us all. Judith, who are you and why are you here?
Well, I'm here because I like to hang out with you. And we have a good time. And Deb's going to be a guest on my podcast this week, so it's kind of cool. I have written, today, finished book number 49. So I'm an author, and as a book shepherd, I help bring their dreams into reality. So with no regrets. They don't have to apologize for them. They're quality. They look good, and we show them how to market them, to get them out there, and to take them to whatever they visualize, or maybe they didn't visualize. We can interject it, what they can do with them. So I've been around. I'm very familiar with webinars. I've been doing webinars for a long time, both for informational and for making money. So it'll be fun to get into this all today.
Well, I also think what is particularly great about this panel is we are not newbies to the webinar game.
No.
Because we've all been really comfortable speaking online before it became a necessity. So I think we'll have a fun perspective. It's like how I talk about, I worked in publishing back when they were still typesetting. During the transition from typesetting to digital, I feel like this is, okay, we're like everybody did webinar people. We're going to have fun. Okay, so Brigette, as I mentioned, Brigette and I met through through one of our mutual friends. Oh, why did it do that? Stephen Rowell, who was on a couple weeks ago. We did a webinar together. And she's talking about the importance of visuals, and her specialty is engaging visuals. But why don't you tell people what you do? Because, there, yeah. And I finally got the reconstruction of everyone. Brigette, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. So I combine storytelling, psychology, and visual design to create presentations that make people pay attention, remember the message, and take action. And isn't that what we want when we do webinars? We want them to take action somehow, right? And so I like to create presentations that feel less like slides and more like experiences that move people. And I've been spending more than 30 years doing this. I've learned slide design before computers. And I've worked live events all my life. So I've seen what slides do on screen. And being in a room with 4,000 attendees at a big conference, and the executives are up on stage and they're presenting slides that their secretaries created. And it's appalling. They spend millions of dollars on the sets, but they don't put much thought to the slides they put on the screen. And that screen is bigger than you. So I'm passionate to take care of the audience and make sure that their time is well spent when they're listening to your talk. And if you're using slides and you make that congruent, I call it the Hollywood effect. I like to create slides that look like a Hollywood movie.
When I said before that we've all been in the webinar game for a very long time, I did not realize what an understatement it was. So really excited to have your take on it, because that is the thing that keeps changing. The technology keeps improving, but I think the slide factor, the visual factor, is one that's like you need to use it or lose it. And when you use it, you need to use it well, or else you will lose them. Basically, yes. Right?
Well said.
Amazing. Great to have you here, and welcome, Julie.
Hi. Thanks for having me, Deborah. I'm very excited about today.
I am as well. Thank you for inspiring the conversation, and please share who you are and why you're here.
So my name is Julie Migliacci. I co-own an event planning company that specializes in virtual and hybrid events. So we've been planning this type of events now for 17 years, so way before COVID. And we help clients of all shapes and sizes, from book clubs to, major corporations all over the world, to make sure that when they are putting something online that's live, that it's curated, that the technology is working properly, that their audience is taken care of. And we really look at it as an experience. So similar to your in-person event planner, we look at a webinar as something that should be fun, that should be entertaining, that should have a call to action, that should be curated and thought through before you just put something out there. There needs to be purpose. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And we do it for everybody all over the world, all day, every day.
Awesome. And what I'm wondering, and I'm actually going to start with a different question than I planned. Why do people hate webinars? Because I really feel like they hate webinars.
A lot of them are really boring. I think that's why. And during COVID, I think there were so many of them happening. Like, we were bombarded with webinars that people got a little burnt out from them.
Well, I think they got into the webinars during COVID because it was a face. We get to see people, and we get to interact. So even though they weren't well planned, it was like we got into that mode where, it's okay.
Okay, so people love to hate them because most of them are boring. Is that what we decided?
Yeah, or the tech's not working right. Like, they're quirky, they're too long.
I think Julie hits on it. Sometimes they're way too long, that they can be cut. And especially if you're doing one that is talking about a product, or, your goal is to sell something from it, getting people involved and convert over, is that it's a pet peeve of mine. I want them to get to the point. All right. So if you've given me the couple of 2 bits, I don't need to go to 7,000 testimonials of why you walk on water. I don't give a twiddly dit. Just, what's it cost? and I'll make a decision. But that's my button pusher with most.
Right? I once had someone, they were apologizing because they couldn't understand why their webinar, which was supposed to be an hour, went an hour and a half. And afterwards, I did can I offer you some feedback? Go for it. I mean, what are they going to say? No, they don't live in the same state. If they never want to speak to me again, it's fine, whatever. Anyway, that was their problem, is they spent a half an hour telling stories about how they got to where they are. And I said, you can cut that down. And he's like, well, people ask me how I got here in the Q&A. And I'm like, then let them ask you later. But you don't need to overwhelm them with why I walk on water, is the way you put it, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so these are why people hate them, but I don't know that any of you shared why people love them.
I think
And
it's a
now
way
we
to
have
connect.
silence.
No, I think similar to what you were saying earlier during COVID, it is a way to connect with people from all over the world. Like we just did a conference for, I think there was 51 countries represented, where the opportunity for all those people to get on a plane, to go to a central location, to connect, that's almost an impossibility nowadays. It would cost a fortune. So I think that's what's really cool about a webinar, is that the three of us are in three different places and we can all talk in real time and converse. And that's the cool part about it.
Mhm.
As
Well, there's there are a lot of pluses by supplying quick information, which is always what I want to look for. I just came off of a webinar before we started, and it was on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being rock star. It would be a 1.3 by a major company, Ingram Spark Publishing, that handles huge amounts, was supposed to be information. Both these women were knowledgeable, but clearly they don't understand the power of having like key points we're going to go over or any of that. And it was, it was so, and I was in and out. And I think also for a webinar, and this may be both between Debra and Julie here, not Debra, Brigette and Julie, is if you don't have something up there that grabs them right away in that visual, if you're using a lot of visuals on that, and that's another thing, is that you're going to be, it's the nanosecond mentality out here. So trying to grab them. And then I think one of my button pushers, this is what I hate, is the slides look like shit. And
God.
that with way too much information, they don't understand the power of just one word, and you as the expert get to explain what the word is about. And that's the kind of thing that I see, and you'll lose me real fast.
Yeah. Or 45 minutes of straight slides also
Yep.
drives me crazy. Like you.
okay, Brigette, our resident slide person.
Well, and then
Yeah,
can
I
I
mean,
add into what Julie just said? If there's 45 minutes of straight fly, they didn't need a speaker.
Agreed.
Here,
Just read it.
read silently, right?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for me, it's like they treat slides like it's a teleprompter, instead of a visual experience. And so I say, when you think of a Hollywood movie, we don't go to a movie and look at bullet points. A lot of us, I don't like to even see subtitles. I just want to see the movie. I want to see the action. I want to see the emotion. And pictures and images are what bring up that emotion and increase the memory of it. So when you can create strings of stories, what you're telling, and tie them with certain visuals, you're going to create a whole new experience that you've never had before. And so it's really getting away from your slides or your cheat notes. Stop showing your underwear is what I tell them.
Love that. I'm going to steal it. That's so good.
Okay, so now you're diving into my actual first question, which is, what is today's webinar? Or like, what is today's good webinar? Shall we say? So using what you're saying, Brigette, is using images to string together a story?
Yeah. And I mean, for me, a good webinar actually starts with a great title because that's what's going to pull us in, right? Oh, I want to learn about that, or I want to know more about that. And then, having a description and stuff. But then once you're there, fulfilling on that. And I think a lot of times people spend time on the marketing ease, but then they don't spend on the time in presenting and being with the audience and showing, having interaction and stuff, not just, I'm just dialoguing the whole time. And I'm saying this, and I say to myself, I need to do this better too. So we're all improving on it, but it's just another form of getting the message out and having that intimate experience that we can't normally have, with as many people as quickly as we can, right?
I love that you gave that as your first tip, because on Book Proposal Substack today, that was my Monday motivation, which is give your book a title. So whatever you're doing, the title makes it real, and it also shares what the promise is of the information you're about to present. So love that. Any other comments on the title before I get Judith and Julie's answers?
I think it's really important to understand. You need to understand what the audience is, if you can, who you are speaking to. Do you do a pull to it? Do you have to have an emotional pull to it? And I'm talking about the title, to make the pop grabber on that. So that's important. So I think you may have a webinar that is, you may have a canned kind of webinar, but it has 10 different titles to it, because they will go to those audiences to be the magnet attractor.
That's a really good point.
That.
So
that's good. Julie, any other thoughts on the title?
Not the title, but because we don't really get much involved in that unless we see a really, really bad title when I'm like, I don't know what your webinar is about. You might want to rethink this one. I think today's webinar, I think a lot of people in the early days of webinars, so even pre-COVID, a lot of webinars tried to mimic the in-person experience. So they're like, well, in person, we would meet for 2 hours. That's not a webinar. A webinar should be a quick hit. They released a study last year that showed that if you do a webinar and you advertise as 30 minutes or less, you get 40% more registrants to your webinar.
whoa.
Which is huge. So if you're doing a webinar to create a list, so it's not about people showing up, but getting that registrant list, doing a shorter webinar and telling people like, hey, this is 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, you're going to get a lot more people signing up. And that's ginormous. So I think today's webinar, we need to be better prepared, quick hits, in and out. The average person also only attends one webinar a month. So you have to keep that in mind when you are planning.
So adding on, Julie, to what you're saying is,
yeah.
if you do have one that has links to it, let's say that you've got one that's toothy or roots or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So you do a series. Just do them in a series, but bring them into this under 30-minute deal.
It's better to do 2 at 30 minutes than 1 in 1 hour.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. So are you talking about just any kind of webinar, whether it's for a company or to build a list or whatever, or are there different webinars for different purposes?
So there's different webinars for different purposes for sure. One is list building. One is you want to actually get, for lack of a better words, butts and seats. So there's different strategies for those. The reason behind the 30 minutes is Zoom burnout, quote unquote, kicks in at 37 minutes. So that's when people start multitasking. So there's also like science behind it. My personal Zoom burnout point is 22 minutes. That tends to be the point in a webinar where if I'm an attendee, I look at my email. And you could all find out yours. What point are you pulling up your phone to like check Twitter or open your email or whatever it is? That's your personal burnout point. So the more you
within
can
5.
Well, we know
That's
no
your
one is
personal-
packing their phone watching this conversation. Again, we're not a webinar
Well,
for
so not.
information in live show format, but is this
Yeah.
is this the homework? Is time look at the time of when you get bored in a webinar?
I think
And
it's a
that's
good
how you
idea.
That's
figure
great
out-
homework. Yeah.
It's
And there's
both
so
cool.
many, I could talk for like 30 minutes alone about ways to combat that burnout point. So right now we're doing it, for example, there's different voices. There's not one person speaking. It's not just small presenter video and large boring slides with a million paragraphs on it where people end up reading instead of watching. So there's tricks to combat it for sure.
Okay, so how do we combat Zoom burnout as the host?
As a host, give people something to do. So every 5 to 10 minutes, change the voice. Think about a broadcast, like whatever you're watching, CNN, Fox News, whatever your news channel is. There's a reason why there's a male host and a female host. There's a reason why there's multiple camera angles. It recaptures your information. Bring up the slides, bring them back down. Ask the attendees to put something in the chat. And that could be like, what's your favorite color? And then read the chats. Do a poll question, do a breakout room. Give them something to do while the webinar is happening. Even if it's a true webinar where it's one way like we are today, you could still give the attendees a moment to be human and participate. If you lecture for 45 minutes and leave the last 15 minutes to Q&A, you've lost them.
Wow.
Well, I think that what Julie just said is important. As soon as you go to Q&A, half of them are going to disappear.
Yeah, they're tired.
Yeah, they're figured basically you're done. I've heard what I need to know on that.
Okay. So what do you want? So you give them things to do. What are those options?
So asking a general question in the chat, and it could be so simple, like at the beginning of the webinar, hey, where are you guys coming in from? Put it in the chat. Oh my God, I went to California once. It was wonderful. We're not talking about brain science right now. Is acknowledging that they're there and making eye contact with them, in essence. Launching a poll question halfway through, waiting a few comments to go back to that poll question and be like, let's look at the results from the poll question we did 3 minutes ago. That's a great tool. These are all tools that are built in within Zoom. Doing breakout rooms, and if you're in a Zoom meeting format, and giving them a break to be human. If you're in a Zoom meeting format, actually asking them to be off cam and talk. These are all simple, free things that you can do. Brigette can definitely talk about the visuals, having engaging visuals that are coming in and out. You're not on slides the entire time. Don't make that mistake.
Okay, that's a great handoff.
I also do. Sometimes I go live and share my screen. I said, I'm going to take you right here. I'm going to show you how to use this tool. I just came off, it was actually a podcast. I didn't plan on doing the podcast, but the person who was my guest was ill. And I didn't realize, it was like 10 minutes before. So, I have studio time, I have a producer, I'm paying all this. So what do I do? So I had planned on doing a thing on tools, and I just decided I'm just going to do tools. I went through in 55 minutes. My podcast is 55 minutes, basically. In 55 minutes, I went through 14 tools, showing them live how to use each one. In and out of my, in and out, I'm taking you to this, that. And I done it, and I was able, because I've done this so much, but I was able to put together in about 5 minutes. I said, okay, we're ready to go. And doing that. So there was just constant. Now, this is something that will air later on that. But I just know that when I have done that kind of format live with people, they are engaged like crazy on that. So I do things like that.
Okay, before we go to Brigette, Judith, if ever anybody cancels on you last minute, you can always call me. I'm almost always up to chat.
Perfect. perfect. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we always have a good time anyway, right?
Oh yeah,
Just
no, we have to have a good time. That's, I'm willing to work really hard, but if I don't have a good time,
only and always have a
What's the
good
point?
time. Okay, Brigette, what can we do with slides to combat Zoom burnout?
Well, with mine, I'm changing out slides very quickly. A 50-minute talk could have over 200 slides, but they're not counting slides. They're looking at stories. So I'm telling strings of stories through
Yep.
images, changing out, zooming in, animating.
Yep.
And it's not about animation either, because people think, oh, I can make this thing spin around. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't make you look good. It doesn't make any sense why that's spinning that way. And these animations were created for very few
my God, they make
music.
me crazy.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah.
yeah.
It's like
So I tell
1992
people
called and once a PowerPoint.
the transition I use is just a fade from one to next, because that's what movies do. They just fade from one scene to the next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how can people do that? Because I, for one, am not naturally visually talented. So how do people like me do that better? I mean,
You can call me and I'll help
what?
you.
Okay, well, I like the idea of telling stories through strings of images, and what I like to do is when I'm presenting, I will sometimes switch the order of my slides to keep me on my toes, and I do the bullet points so I don't forget things, but mostly it's not teleprompter, because I do phrases I don't do. If you ever want to be really bored, watch me read something. I know my strengths, and that is not one of them. But I do try and mix it up. One thing here, two things there. What can people who are not okay? It's a better question. What can people who are not visually inclined do to develop that muscle?
Well, we all react to pictures. I mean, think of when you were a little kid and your parents read you a book before bed. We didn't want to read the text. We wanted to look at the pictures, right? And we wanted to hear the story. So when you look at images, you always have an opinion of it, and we all of us can look at the same image and have a different opinion of it, because we're gonna relate it to something in the past, which conjures up a memory. And then if you're speaking to that slide, we're going to be listening to what you're saying. So we tie that memory of the past, of what that image reminds us of, with what you're saying, which creates a super memory. So that's the power of images. So if you've got to talk, you look at the script, you say, okay, what am I saying here? Okay, close my eyes. What would I see if I was hearing that? Right? Like if you're watching a movie and this is what they were saying, what would you think you'd see there? And most likely you're probably right on.
Okay, so basically give myself some grace and have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's easy, right?
Yeah.
Audience
what
like
about-
to see a host that's having fun.
Well, I
So
only
have
and
fun
always
with it.
have fun. I only and always have fun, right? Because if you're not having fun, what is the point? Which, Judith already touched on. What are certain things that, and Judith does the live demos, which I think is also great. And then there are polls and there are quizzes. What are other things that you can do to mix up the content that people are looking at while you're presenting?
Well, you can, short videos are good. The trick is that you got to embed the video in the slide. You don't want to click from a slide to a video, because there's a mess up there. And there's an expert way to embed a video into, like, PowerPoint is what I use. But having a smooth transition from still slides to video is nice. What I love, like what she said, is sometimes turn off the slides and just present and let them see your face and let them reconnect with you, and then go back. But you really got to practice that as a skill, turning off Zoom and then turning it back on, so you don't have all this fumbling stuff. It's just like if you were running a 50-yard dash and you wanted to win, you would practice over and over and over again.
Yeah. Or hire a company like ours. You don't have to use us, but somebody like ours, where there's a tech that's running that technology that can be sharing the slides for you, all those things. So you just have to worry about speaking and connecting. You don't have to worry about, oh no, there's a video coming up or whatever, like just worry about speaking. Have somebody else handle the rest of it.
100%.
Yeah, Julie, I remember when I was doing a keynote at a conference, and there you meet with your tech people and all that beforehand. And the guy said, "Okay, so what about videos and what of that?" And I said, "I am the video. I am the video. I'll have some slides, but I'm the video. And if it all goes to hell, don't worry, I can handle it." I mean, I've had those experiences where we've lost all electricity and we went to candlelight. So that I certainly, it learns. Brigette mentioned PowerPoint. You all, you certainly should be tapping into 365 Microsoft to do that, because it has awesome little tricks that it brings in, and that's worthwhile just to take a quiet time to play with it for an hour, and put up one of your old what they call them, decks. I never heard of that or
Right.
decks. Put an old deck in and just start doing the morph. But I want to go back to just webinars, is that no one's used the word simplicity. There's a power in simplicity on that. And that I have seen someone put almost like their entire speech over 4 slides. It was just like the most bizarre, ugly thing I had ever seen. And a client sent this to me. She was so excited. "I'm so excited. I'm going to give my first presentation on my book. I'm so excited." And I said, "Do you want me to take a peek at it?" She says, "Oh yes, I'd love to have you." And it was like, oh my God, we're minus F here. And so I cleared my calendar for the next 2 hours to fix her slides. So one of the things, and I asked, this was a topic, it was about homelessness. And I said, "So, what's the key issue? I want to know the number one key issue. What's the elephant in the room?" And she told me about it. And she says, "You're going to put all that on slide?" I said, "Nope. Watch what I do." I went and found this awesome image of just 2 gorilla eyes. That was it. And that was the slide that came up. That was it. And I said, "Pat, you are the expert. Talk about the gorilla in the room. That's all you have to do." So I mean, simplicity is so important. And also, I think what's really important is I'm like Bridget. I could go through 200 slides in an hour, bang, 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 bang. And that when I did that kind of thing, but that humor is so important in what you're integrating. I was really fortunate to get permission from Gary Larson to use some of his cartoons.
Nice.
Amazing.
And I was speaking predominantly for 20 years. I spoke in the healthcare field about toxicity in the workplace. So he had stuff that was so perfect for me to use. And I think, so that, those kind of goodies. And the other thing I just want to say, it's going to be this, one of my tips will be on my tip ending, but I always had handouts. I never left an event. I get pissed when people say, "If you go to my website, send it." Go to me, because I actually will print stuff out and I make notes. I actually make notes on shit, and go through and remember, so I can go back when I get the replay and look at it again. And it doesn't, you don't give all the information. And by the way, if you use cartoons and things like that, you don't include those on your handouts. I had when I did a program, when I went into a conference, I had my master that I used on my slide, if I was doing slides behind me, and then I gave a very stripped down version to my participants. Very stripped down. So, but that's just my thing,
No,
I would agree.
I like that too, because especially when I do my goal setting simplified, I give out my mission and motto worksheet so people can play along. It goes back to it's the same goal setting and goal getting webinar. The title is just different where I present it. But this mission and motto worksheet it embodies that piece of what I talk about. Can't get what you want when you know unless you know what that is. This is how you create a mission and motto and goals to go with it. And I started doing that because I would get people who'd want all of my slides. And I would say, if you want all the information, you can buy my book. But if you want the outline, this is it. This is what we go through.
This is it.
Yeah.
And for all our listeners, I just want to say, when you do a little handout, you're going to do a little copyright 226 and your name, and then you're going to have a blog, like a footer, and then along it, and you're going to have your email, and you're going to have your phone number, and you're going to have your website. Make that standard, please.
Yes. I am, again, as the non-visual visual person, everything is a save as. So the header and the footer are there. I just have to recreate the content in there. I'm sorry, who is jumping in?
I was going to say also those handouts, especially if they're doing it while on the webinar with you, combat Zoom burnout. Like full circle, you're giving them something to do.
Absolutely.
So you could be like, go to page 2 of the handout. So they're going like digitally or on paper. It's great. It's a wonderful tool.
Mm-hmm. So I guess some of the systems have the ability to do an upload and they can download it. I don't like webinars that I don't know who's on there. I want to know who's on there. You know, I want their contact information, I want their name, and I want their email. So that's just me. And then I send them a thank you note afterwards. And I will send them here's the handout, usually like the morning of or the day before. Make sure you print this out because we're going through it. Right now I'm teaching a class on how to be an Amazon bestseller. There is a set of handouts that goes with every class. They get it the day before. They are told to. And I do exactly what Julie was saying. On the 3rd page, this is what we're focusing on right now. So.
Great job.
Oh,
Bridget, anything you wanna share in terms of tools and other things that you like for presenting virtually?
Well, have a clicker. If you travel, bring your own clicker, because a lot of times they might have a clicker and they might not.
And not only that, the clicker and a spare, by the way.
Yes, exactly.
An extra battery.
You want an extra
I
clicker.
take 2 of everything.
Okay.
I know some speakers actually.
We've traveled beyond just webinars. We are also including in-person stuff.
No,
but even for a webinar, you can have a clicker. That way you're not touching, you just discreetly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're saying use a clicker for a webinar?
Yeah. Why not?
Whether on
Zoom sometimes if you're hitting
screens.
your computer, it's a laptop, it might move the screen.
Yeah, and have 2 screens. So one that's sharing your screen, one with your webinar. That way you don't get that awkward, like, oops, I shared my desktop moment. Just have that second screen and then have that connected to a clicker, and then you don't have to touch anything.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. I am excited to up my webinar game. Thank you. I'm sorry, what else did you have, Bridget?
Well, like she said, have a second monitor. I have actually two monitors up. I have an iPad and I have a portable monitor so that I can, like she said, push my slides to one side and present just from that, so that if I escape out of the screen, it doesn't go to Zoom or whatever, and just practice the tools of using Zoom or whatever webinar software you're using, so you understand, if I'm sharing my screen, I do this. And just like when I took speaker training, they said, practice how to raise and lower the mic. You never think about it, but when you walk up to a mic and it's way high, you got to adjust it. And some people won't adjust it. They won't touch it. It's like, no, it's supposed to be adjusted to you.
Well, you solve that by having a handheld mic. Did I tell you?
That's true. But then the problem is, if you have a handheld mic and a clicker, then what? I want a handheld mic with a clicker.
It's easy peasy. Oh my God, it's easy peasy. I did it all the time. So
another trick is, if you have 2 screens, is when you put your PowerPoint presentation mode, have that spot where it shows all your notes right under your webcam. So because you're going to naturally, your eye is going to look at it. And the way you make virtual eye contact is by looking directly into your webcam. So that way your eye is drawn to that area and you're less likely to look over to your other screen to look at where you're at because it's right in front of you.
Oh, Julie, thank you for saying that. I've been on webinars with like this the whole time.
Yes.
What?
We're talking to
Or
the
looking
ear.
up the nose. You know,
Yeah.
make sure you're set up for success. Your webcam is right in front of you, that you're lit from in front, not from behind, that you've tested your microphone, that you are near you're either hardwired into your internet or that you're so close to your Wi-Fi router that you can touch it. You know, those are the tricks that are going to help you look for success. How many webinars have we been on where the speaker is not connected properly or you can't hear them and test with your speakers? For the love of God, everybody, do a pre-conference, at least 15 minutes beforehand to test your speakers. Even if they tell you they do this all the time, they don't know their internet's going to crash. So it's worth the extra 15 minutes.
And also, you know, that's such a good thing to bring up, Julie, because we have weather. You know, I just came out from a thunderstorm that you don't know when things are going to get zapped.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen some stuff in my career. Sprinkler systems going off.
Oh, that'd be exciting.
It was very exciting. That speaker was not very kind, so I believe it was karma on that day. But karma opening up on them. You know, crews cutting off the internet line outside. That just gives you a little bit of time to adjust. We've done pre-conference as long as 60 minutes if we have people coming in from all over the world. So you don't know what you're going to get. We had a speaker that was, I forget which country in Africa, but it was on the African continent, and his internet was terrible. And we got him to a restaurant that had internet. Was his audio great? No, but he was connected because we had time to pivot and adjust.
Okay, that you got him to a restaurant, so I love that.
McDonald's, fun fact, has great Wi-Fi. If you're ever in a bind, drive to the nearest McDonald's.
I love
Great
that.
Wi-Fi.
Right. Well, we even do this. You all come 10 minutes early in case there are any technical difficulties for this exact reason, because you want to make the experiences seamless for your guests or your audience or whatever we're calling them. And I think that that's a really important point to make, which you've all said without saying, is a webinar is not about you. It is about the information that you are sharing, right? I mean, it's like everything that people get really caught up in. You know, this is my story, this is my specialty. That's great, wonderful, but what is the audience going to get from it? The other thing, and these are great practical tips, but I want to ask the impractical and not even impractical question, but what about standing out? What are things, and Bridget, we're going to start with you on this one. What are things anyone can do to like immediately command attention and get people engaged for however long it's going to be before they get their Zoom time?
I think, like for me, I've had 5 years of speaker training and I never wanted to be on stage. I always worked behind the screens. But now being on stage, it's kind of like, oh, you're speaking to 300 people. No, you're speaking to one person at a time. So really address one person, speak to them, you know, have a conversation, you know, in a friendly manner. You can, you know, create connection through, you know, Zoom or through these webinars and, you know, be a little different, you know, you don't have to be like a robot. Have fun with it. Like you said.
Because if you're not having fun, no one's having fun. Right?
Yeah. I like to tell our speakers, it's okay to say the weird thing. Say the weird thing. It makes you human. And people want to speak and connect to humans.
Okay, for example, what is the weird thing? Now I need an example.
Oh God, I don't know. Like if you're doing a financial webinar about your financial future and be like, none of this makes sense, right? Like start with something that's a little off the wall where it's like, what, you're the expert, you're supposed, and then you make it make sense.
Mm.
You'd say like,
If
did
you're
you bring
doing,
your sock today
you
with your
know,
money in it?
yeah. Like, you guys are still putting money under the mattress,
Of
right? That's a good
course.
idea. Like, say the weird thing. Be human.
Okay. Judith, do you want to add
Yeah.
to that?
All of a sudden I'm focusing on what you're saying and I forget what I was going to say. I think that one of the things that could be very powerful is that, and I've done it, said, I will tell them this is what we're doing today. This is what we're going to cover. And then you give them more. I think it's always the plus when you deliver more on that. And I don't care if this is just a freebie, informational type thing. I don't care if it is something that you have a program or something you're pitching, that give them so much information that is it really, I tend to overload people and overwhelm them with a lot of the stuff that I throw out. And that to me, those are all bonuses on things, and then coming back. So I tell them, I promise, this is what I'm going to do. I promise, this is my promise to you. I'm going to deliver this to you. And then I said, well, I actually have more I'm going to give to you. I have more I'm going to add on. So.
Yeah. we are fire hoses in very similar ways. And I think part of that, and I also think it's a common theme of this panel, that we love what we talk about. So obviously the enthusiasm's going to show. I mean, literally when Brigette and I met, she said 2 sentences about her love of slides. And I'm like, got to get her on the panel because it seeped out immediately as part of your being. And if you're not leaking the love for your topic, maybe you need to think about your topic. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
They're nodding.
Yeah.
For those just listening.
We are nodding. All right. So I have a question for Brigette. Brigette, what's the, thinking back, you've seen a gazillion sites, what pops for you?
What do you mean? What pops for me?
We haven't talked about slide construction. I shared about the gorilla eyes. It was such a pop that people were
That's great. Yeah.
Okay. So what pops? What little tips are in there?
A real compelling image that's not too detailed. That's very, think of a slide as a billboard. You have 7 seconds or less to consume the whole thing. And you're moving at 65 miles an hour. So what are you showing, and what feeling do you want to evoke? So, for me, I'm a creative thinker, so I'm always trying something different or creating different things and throwing it off center or doing this or that, but also making sense, not everyone is creative. And so if I show something really out there, they may not get it. But, just have fun with it. And, what I do, being a logo designer and a graphic designer, I'm always looking at people's logos. And my favorite logo is the FedEx logo because it has the arrow in it going one way. Most people haven't even noticed the arrow, but it's those hidden symbols that really excite me. So where can you create hidden symbols in your webinar, and in the presence, like the gifts you give them at the end? Just, I don't know. It's all engagement, right? And I equate it back to a Hollywood movie because I love Hollywood movies. And my goal now is when I retire, all I want to do is create Hollywood movie posters. I just want to work in Photoshop and create Hollywood movie posters.
But
so much fun.
Some of those have so much stuff in them.
I know. They tell the whole movie, right?
Yeah. The whole movie is there.
Yep.
And do it. I love it that you mentioned the 7 second. For book titles, book covers, max is 7 seconds to say, I'm picking you up. 7 seconds. So
you also want to keep them guessing with the slide, because the goal is for them to listen to you, not to read you. So if you have a slide with the gorilla eyes, what is she going to say about that? And then you're going to recapture them, and they're going to listen again.
Yeah.
There was another a tip I wanted to also give, that if you use cartoons and you're pulling them with permission, and they have you may have pulled the text with them, always read the text.
Mm.
Everyone reads at different levels. You want everyone to be on the same train at the same time, from the time they get on to get off. And I learned that very fast. And also, one of my tips in one of my talks was, you always have to expect the uninspected. And I was speaking to a physician group, and I had a cartoon that was so outrageous. I debated, do I use it? You have those things. Do
Do the
you?
weird thing.
It was the weird thing, Julie.
That's
Okay.
great.
So this woman is, and basically she's undressed. She's sitting on the edge of the examining table, and he's got the little hammer to do the thing, and he hits it, and her boob goes up. All right. So the audience would roar. They would roar because, number one, it connected with their field. I couldn't use it with everybody. But it was just, it was perfect that time, and it was weird. So I haven't said weird things to use, but I'm going to incorporate. Julie, you're going to be my new model.
Well, like I invented the term, are you suffering from slide shame?
Love it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, how many people have we seen go up on stage? They open their computer and they say, please excuse my slides. I was up till midnight working on them.
Exactly.
Don't start with that.
And get help. If you have slide shame, get help. There's professionals
Yes.
out there that can help you.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
your
I
leg
have
was
the
broken,
website
you go see a
URL.
doctor.
Yeah.
Yep.
At endslideshame.com. If you go there, you can get it on my calendar.
Are you? That's your URL. That is
end
like
slide shame.
beautiful branding. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, this is so much fun. I do want to say a hi and thanks to Meryl Cass, who's been commenting like the entire time, including a shout out to the Wi-Fi McDonald's at McDonald's. Thank you, Julie. Also watching live, we've got Leanne. We've got, if I missed you, sorry, but we're so glad you're here. Margaret, hello. Yeah, a whole bunch of people. So if you're here and you've got slide shame, shame no more. You've got amazing resources if you need support. We've got people for that here as well. But basically, I want you to be able to leave here with less slide or webinar shame than you arrived. So this is the point, see what I did there? Where I would love for you all to gift a goal to the audience. So what is something that they could do today, tomorrow, immediately? Because I know for one, I'm going to like relook at everything I've ever done now through the lens of the three of you. Thank you very much. But let's only overwhelm me. What sort of goals can we give people? Let's start with you, Judith.
Well, I would have a couple. If you're a newbie to webinars, you need to just show up at some and just observe what works and what doesn't work. That would be the first thing. And keep notes, and just remember that's where they're going to go. And then I would think that the KISS factor keeps your slides simple if you're going to use them. And also hooking on to what Bridget said about the stories. Slides are the stories and going forward. And if there is a snafu, and I'm going to guarantee there will always be a snafu at some time in your webinar participation as well as delivery, that you are the webinar. And if it's just going to be you, and if it's, you're online and the camera, it's fine. Just get ready to go with your key. And it could be one of the best ones you ever do, because sometimes people overdo with all the bells and whistles. You are the bell and whistle. Okay.
And if I'll go back to repeat what I said. If you're not loving your webinar, take stock of that and figure out how you can love your webinar, because your webinar is you and your expertise and what you are showing to the people, as it were. Julie, what goal are you gifting today?
I would say the big one is think outside of the Zoom box. So we all love Zoom. Zoom webinar is great. I don't want to poo-poo on it. Big fan. There's so many other platforms out there that do the same thing. If you're doing a marketing webinar, look at webinar.net. It's super branded. You get much stronger analytics. You can actually do a handshake between your CRM and your webinar. You can brand it. You can change the layouts. It's spectacular. So think outside of the Zoom box. If you are going to do your gala, you're not going to hold a gala in your conference room. The same applies online. So look out there. If anybody is thinking about changing platforms, we have free 30-minute consultations. Book some time with us. You can pick our brain and we can give you some options that would probably work better for what you're trying to do. Zoom is not the only option. So
No, in
look out
fact,
there.
I agree with Julie. I think it's one of the weaker options.
It's cheap. That's the good part about it.
Well, yeah.
And everybody knows how to use it. So it depends on your audience. But like if you have certain age groups do better with Zoom. Certain age groups don't do better with Zoom. Like who's your audience? Why are you doing it? Look outside of the box. And I love talking platforms. So if anybody really wants to talk, like happy to do so.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, Brigette, what goal are you gifting?
Well, I often get asked this question, especially when I'm in an event and someone is presenting slides and they're horrible. And they go, Brigette, look at their slides. They got all this text. And I go, I know. Just close your eyes, listen. If it's really, too much text and it's overwhelming you're going to get much more out of just the listening. If you can block the screen or whatever, I hate to say that, but if you're going to sit there and you want to get something out of it, you've got to get rid of the distractions.
Okay, and what about for presenting better? What is your one goal you want to leave people with?
Like you said, have fun, know your material, and practice with the cadence, and practice for those mishaps, because actually they could be a brilliant thing. When you fumble and yet you do well and you're relaxed and you're okay, that does something really huge for the audience. They're like, wow, I'm impressed, and they think if they can do it, I can do it. So just be yourself and be confident and have fun.
I love when the goal is to be yourself, be confident, and have fun, because that is the goal, right? That is the purpose, because people are going to they're going to take your energy and run with it. So awesome. Okay, where can everybody learn about each of you? Let's start with you, Brigette. Where's the best place?
Well, you could go to babylonarts.com. That's BABILONARTS.com. Or you could go to endslideshame.com if you want to book a call, a short slide strategy review. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I always love reach outs. And I do give a webinar twice a month through LinkedIn. So if you want to look through there, I am actually giving it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to see what some amazing slides look like, I don't want to brag, but people are just mesmerized. Can't take their eyes off the screen.
Amazing. Okay.
So my question is, how long is the webinar? And 10 a.m. Mountain Time, or is that California
It's
time?
10 a.m. It's set for an hour, but I think I'm going to do it in under 30 minutes.
Try it.
Right.
See what happens.
Yeah, right.
I love it when my guests learn from each other. That's amazing. Okay, so this is live on Monday, June 8th. You may be watching this after the fact, or this gets released actually on Thursday, June 11, audio only. But if you go to the debmethod.com/blog, you will get everybody's links and everybody's LinkedIn links. So if you missed this webinar, be sure to follow Brigette so you can learn about the next one. Okay, Julie, where can people learn more about you?
Our website. So we're Revent, REVENT.consulting, not .com, .consulting. On our website, you can see some examples of our past work. You can also follow us on Instagram to get like our latest tips. But I'm very honest with our free 30-minute consultation. It is not a sales pitch. You can come to us to review your agenda, review your Zoom settings, talk platforms. You have a speaker that you know is going to be problematic. We could use that time to troubleshoot with your speaker. It is really for you, to help you. We're big believers that if everybody does better virtual events, everybody will be better for it. So please do not hesitate to use that brain power and our knowledge base to help you.
Wonderful.
Sounds
See,
great.
it's actually more for you because you're tired of seeing bad webinars. So you want everybody's webinars
I
to be
can't.
better. Isn't that the goal of everybody here? Do better you can.
Yeah, if we all get better, then it will just get better, which is wonderful.
Excellent. Okay, Judith, where can people learn more about you?
Oh, a couple of websites. So my consulting, where I work with authors to bring their books out of the ground or get them to the next stage or get them published, that's thebookshepherd.com. There's always something going on there. If you want to know about my books as they go along, I just got book number 49 does not have the cover, which is called Appetizers with Judith, which I just finished yesterday.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
that's followed up. But it's judithbrowsebooks.com. And then I am, then the book right behind it, which will be ready by the end of the year. Book number 50 will be the fourth book in the historical fiction series. But I really came from writing from finance and then conflict. And then here I am making up stories, for God's sakes. So that's
Amazing. I love it.
that's what I do. And then the final one, Deb, is I have Publishing at Sea, where I take people away for a week and we do publishing. The next one will be February 8th. So,
Wow, we're into 2027, folks.
I know.
I love it. Yes, it is almost, a happy mid-year is coming up before you know it on
I know.
GoalChat. Anyway, I am at the Deb Method everywhere. I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And new episodes get released on Thursdays on the Marketing Podcast Network. If you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you will get the recap, the links, etc. If you want to learn more about me and how I help nonfiction authors, experts turn their ideas into proposals that get attention, that's thebookproposalexpert.com. And if you need help with your goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide and or 52 secrets for goal setting and goal cutting at your favorite place to buy books. Anyway, this has been great. I feel like through osmosis, I have upped my webinar game. So watch out, people. Right? Or as I call them, Debinars are in for a nice extreme or not so extreme makeover. Friends, lots of information here. If we were to let people leave with one thing, what is that one thing you want to leave people with? Judith, final thought?
Whoa, I thought we just did this.
No, that was the goal. Now it's the final thought.
Leave them one thing. I always leave people with two models that win. Is one, don't do well what you have no business doing. It is so important that when I am working on a goal, which I had a goal to finish this book by the first week in June. Okay. That was the goal that I started writing it 3 months ago and putting all these things together. And these are, recipes that I created 80 of them. So my goal was to create it in 3 months. I had to become myopically focused. So if one of my friends says, oh my God, let's just go to the movies and play, I would love to go to the movies and play, and I will do it mid-June with you. I think that you don't do well what you have business doing. So if you're not going to be, if design is not your forte, but God, you heard stuff that Brigette said, call her. Because if that's not your expertise, get help. The other is, if you never say no, your yeses are worthless. So if you keep that in mind, that if your goal is to get to whatever this goal is, no needs to be part of your vocabulary.
Ooh, I am so with you on that. And bringing it back to what we were talking about before, it's your books, your knowledge isn't about you. It's about getting the knowledge to other people. So you need to have parameters so you get the stuff that needs to get done. So love that. And I like, if you never say no, your yeses are worthless. I am also a big fan of when you say no to others, you're saying yes to yourself and your goals. So, okay, great. Brigette, final thought.
Mine's simple. If you do what you love, you will love what you do.
Okay, well, that is a theme for everybody here today, right? If you do what you love what you do. Awesome. Okay, Julie, final thought.
Know your why. Why are you putting on this webinar? What's the purpose? What's the call to action? Do not do a webinar for webinar's sake. You are watering you're killing your brand. Why are you putting on this webinar, and have that in mind the entire planning process.
Wait, there are people who do webinars for webinar's sake?
Oh yeah. And we've all been on those where you're like, why are we here? They don't even know why they're there.
Oh, you mean the people who like to hear themselves talk?
Yes, those. Yeah.
Those. Okay. When you know your why for your webinar, for your business, for your purpose, then everybody wins.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Judith, Brigette, and Julie, for joining me. Thank you for tuning into GoalChat. Again, live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And sometimes our conversations are informative, sometimes they're entertaining. Oftentimes they are both. So I am incredibly grateful for you, Judith, Brigette, and Julie, for joining me. And those of you, you want to up your webinar game. So go out there and go for it, because we know you can do it. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.